What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman here for Stokastic.com, back again with the NFL DFS contenders on FanDuel for Sunday Night Football. Denver Broncos, San Francisco 49ers. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Let me know in the comments who your favorite plays are for today's slate. Who do you like? Who do you dislike? What do you like that I did? What do you dislike that I did? I want to know it all in the comments of this video. And finally, I want you guys to go sign up at Prize Picks, the presenting sponsor of this show. There's a link in the description of the video. It's pretty simple. You click it, head on over, make a deposit. They'll match anything up to $100. So any amount that you put in up to $100, they're going to match it with $100. You can't really beat it. You don't need an optimizer for it. You're picking over-unders. You're taking player props across a wealth of different sporting options. And if you can put 5 of them together and they win, you'll net up to 10x your entry fee. We've got tons of Prize Picks content on our YouTube channels and on Stokastic that I think will help you out a lot. Now, we're rounding out the bottom of my top 10 with Robbie Gould, George Kittle, Jeff Wilson, Javonte Williams, and Courtland Sutton on the outside looking in. Who will be my favorites? My top 5 plays for today? It's time to find out. The first one up is Brandon Ayuk, 9,500, projected for basically 9.5 fantasy points. The Niners are 1.5 point favorites against the Broncos with a 44.5 point total. There's a 2.5% chance that Brandon Ayuk goes for north of 30 fantasy points. If you're going to Brandon Ayuk, you're going there for the value in salary. 4% chance he's your optimal MVP, another 34% at utility. He just makes lineups work here. You're going to need somebody in that sub 10K range, and I think Brandon Ayuk stands out pretty well at 9,500. In at number 4, newly minted 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, 15,500, projected for 15 fantasy points. Again, the Niners are the favorites in this one. Just a 5% chance that Jimmy G goes north of 30. You're not expecting a monster day here, although maybe he wants to prove a point. Not that I think that you can do that, but anyway, 15% chance that he's your optimal MVP. Now that part is real because quarterbacks can just hang big numbers, and with no change in salary at the MVP spot, they look pretty good. 25% chance that Jimmy G is optimal at the utility spot. That's kind of important to note. That's not a very high number. That's a big price tag on Jimmy G, and it's hard for him to end up in a utility spot with that price tag. It's sort of like he gets to the MVP, or you need a very, very specific outcome for him to get into that utility spot. It's still 1 out of every 4 times, so I don't want to overrate it, but the price tag on Jimmy G might be like a hair too high. In at the number 3 spot, we've got JEUDY. He is 11K, projected for 11 fantasy points. Denver, the dogs in this one, but you should expect this one to be competitive. The total looks fine. The side looks fine. We should just expect like a back and forth affair. 4% chance that JEUDY goes for north of 30 fantasy points. A 7% likelihood that he is your optimal MVP. And then you get another 37% at the utility. That gets him up to 44. We're starting to knock on the door of that 50% threshold. But right now, whether it's Sutton at 34, whether it's JEUDY at 44, both of the pass catchers for the Broncos looking pretty good today. In at number 2, we get Russell Hustle and Bustle. 16K for Russell Wilson. 16.3 fantasy point projection. You're hoping for a big day here, but just an 8% chance of going for north of 30. He really can hit anywhere up and down the line. That's a relatively flat distribution on the screen for a quarterback. 19% likelihood he is your optimal MVP, which makes sense. He's the quarterback with the higher ceiling than Jimmy G. 28% chance that he is optimal at that utility spot. You get to 47. I'm a little surprised he's not at the number 1 spot. The guy that's in the number 1 spot does tend to do a lot from a fantasy perspective, but I really do like Russell Wilson here. I'm very anxious to see the ownership and see how that plays out as we get closer to lock. There's an opportunity here, I believe, where he's going to show up a little bit under-owned at the MVP, so I'm keeping my eye on that. Now, before we get to that number 1 contender, one last reminder: like, subscribe, notification bell, follow me on Twitter, hop in the comments and tell me what you're liking and disliking for this slate, and then go sign up at Prize Picks. The link is in the description. DEEBO Samuel hits the coin flip on the dot. 15K for Samuel, projected for 15.8 fantasy points. We got a 22.8% chance that he goes for north of 30. That is a big time number. The ceiling is real on DEEBO. 24% chance he's your optimal MVP. Looks awesome. Another 25% at the utility. So you basically got A quarter shot at MVP, another quarter shot at utility, and a 50-50 shot that DEEBO is in the optimal. And I'm sure you guys can picture the scenarios where he gets there. Is it rushing touchdowns? Potentially. Is it passing or receiving touchdowns? Possibly. Is it a passing touchdown? Would you really be surprised? This guy can do it all when he's out there, and that is why he shows up in the number 1 spot, right on that coin flip mark. 50% chance he's in the optimal, 50% chance he's not, but that's good enough to be the number 1 contender. All right, that will do it. Those are my NFL DFS contenders on FanDuel for Sunday Night Football, Broncos and Niners. DraftKings version of this video is around here somewhere, so check it out. Good luck tonight, everybody. Win a little bit of money. We are back again tomorrow morning for another edition of the Contenders.